9/11.
At this point, it's a comedy of errors. And that's what the fringe conspiracy theorists, truthers, did to the overall discussion involving 9/11. But there are a few of us that are still out there reporting on the events past and current. Now, in this video, I'm going to be very laid back. Usually, I'm very direct, data oriented, although there's going to be some data in here, but I'm going to be very loose in this video, almost like a shoot. So, everybody loves a good conspiracy, right? Everybody loves a um, good story. Nobody really wants to hear the truth. Hardly anyone does these days. Now with these nut jobs in office, I feel that disinformation will be at an all-time high to circumvent the old establishment. But that's not what this video is about. As time progresses, the amount of disinformation will just become worse. You won't know what the truth is from the lie. Most people are intellectually lazy. They don't read anymore. Why you don't, you see the closings of 40 bookstores, Barnes and Nobles. Nobody wants to hold a book anymore. They read at a Kindle, they read through the phone, everything's digital. So people, would rather watch 30-second video than a documentary. And so, either adapt or die. But that's not the case. I mean, if you're going to learn about something, it takes time. And if you're going to be impartial, which is the key to understanding anything, getting down to the facts of the issue, yeah, you have to be impartial. Or you're going to look at things with a very biased view, whether it be racial point of view or religious point of view or political point of view. That's how conspiracy theorists really got certain companies. They automatically blame the government for 9/11 right off the bat. You've got to blame people like Al June, Jim Fetterman, the people that were there from the very start that said, oh, the government's involved. A lot of people who already hated the government at the time, a lot of boomers, transcended to Generation Xers, whatever they're called. And it, this is generation. By already blaming the government, what do you want to look at? You're going to look at information that actually is. Right away, they fail. Right off the bat. And so, what happened to the actual research people like Jonathan Bellasort, Ryan Dawson's still around, John Gold. There's still a few of us. So, I mean, there isn't enough of us. And of course, Leonardo Salvaggio, I feel bad because I'm always forgetting that guy. He's one of the best in the world. And there's still some of us left. I mean, but it's boys, it's a small circle. So, what is the key to 9/11? The key is understanding information. As I've always said in almost every video, information is power. The power to prosecute, the power to circumvent, the power to compromise, the power to hold somebody civilly liable, judicially liable, criminally liable, or to withhold information for whatever reason. And in this case, Withholding of information led to the events of September 11, 2001 to be successful, when it shouldn't have been. And for those who are basically saying that the government knew about 9/11 attacks, you don't know that because I don't know that. And if you have information that the CIA or the NSA or the FBI or the Bush White House had specific information that said this document says the attacks will happen on September 11, 2001, blah, 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 where to come from in this snap, show it to me. You can't because it doesn't exist. And if it does exist, it's locked away in the National Archives or destroyed. So that leads you right back where you started, right? Nothing. Speculation is fine if you're temporarily filling in the blanks. It's not supposed to be used as evidence. And for far too long, the fucking idiots like Richard Gage and Christopher Boland and Rebecca Roth and Judy Wood and all these other retards, Jason Burmis and all of them, they had not just speculation, but fucking retarded shit. The most dumbest things available. Fake planes, living hijackers, drones. I mean, God, fucking, what are you, 12? And so many adults fell for it. A lot of boomers did. You know, the fucking genesis of fringe conspiracies came from the boomers. All the way back to JFK. All right. So, I mean, was there a conspiracy involving 9/11? Fuck yeah. Were they covered in all those years? No. And the few people that did are disappearing or disappeared altogether because the fucking idiots shouted them down and said, oh, they're not real truthers. I mean, man, right? So I'm just going to throw a little bit of tidbits in this video. Like, in terms of wanting to understand how a 9/11 attack can be successful, well, you have to go back in time to understand the present and the future. What led to an event like 9/11? Now, it's not like these people who conducted the terrorist attacks just appeared out of nowhere. Now, according to the truth community, these people don't even fucking exist. So that means that you, the people who are listening to them, they're basing on the issue that you're not going to do your due diligence and check to whether that's true. You're just going to believe them, unless you're a brain dead retard, right? But for those who are basically going to fact check and do the due diligence, they're going to say, wait a minute, these guys existed. Muhammad Atta, Ziad Jarrah, Hani Hanjour, Marwan al-Shadi, these are the pilot hijackers. I mean, they have families and they got friends and people saw them. Muhammad Atta went to the University of Hamburg. And they spoke to his Dieter Mitchell, and Ziad Jarrah's family was interviewed. I mean, come on, folks. Hani Hanjour was inside the United States in 1991. He went to the University of Arizona. And he had the most flying experience out of anybody. And people saying he's a poor pilot. I mean, I got fucking videos. DJ Dermadenian's got videos of fucking trainers that he went under. He said, yeah, he was a menial pilot, but he could have done what he did at the Pentagon. I mean, to crash a plane doesn't take a fucking expert. According to Jason Burmis, according to Richard Gage, you got to be fucking top notch, because the people they've interviewed, like Albert Stubblebine, the fucking retard, thinks he can walk the walls, and other people, Rob Balsamo, the late Rob Balsamo, I'm not going to say he's dead, he's dead, but there's some idiots out there, even if they're fucking pilots. Look at Dan Hanley. Dan Hanley lives in Pakistan. God knows if that fuck was compromised. Who knows? Oh, they had the remote airline, technology installed in these planes. Did they? How do you know that? You don't know that. Yeah, the technology existed. Was it used on those planes? I'm willing to hear it. What information you have that suggests that's no, you don't. See, and this is what really grinds my gears, right? These people became front and center, and they didn't talk about the real conspiracies involving 9/11, which basically were out there for years. And now, recently, we've come across more information about 9/11 than we ever did in the past 20. The biggest breakthroughs, Operation Encore, the Canestraro documents, right? These are the two, of God's sakes, gigantic. It showed that the CIA and Saudi Arabian intelligence, the General Intelligence Directorate, the Bob Bet, right, that they were working illegally inside the United States, monitoring two known al-Qaeda subjects in Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf Osby. Did Richard Gage talk about that? Did Jason Burmis talk about that? Did Alex Jones talk about it? No, these people stood silent. And, I'll give a little bit of credit to Richard Gage, but he went on a retard show in Stu Peters, who's an absolute imbecile, and wasted that information on his show. And I think it was the, Karen Stroh doc. I can't believe Gage talked about that. I really can't. But I mean, I don't know why, because he doesn't believe, hijackers hijack the planes. So it's a waste of information. It's like, you have a gun with 6 bullets and then you shoot it on the floor instead of the fucking guy that's charging at you with a baseball bat. Right? What a waste. So, in this video, I'm just going to throw tidbits of information. How do we know an event like September 11, 2001 basically can be successful? Intelligence, right? So what am I assuming, of course? I'm assuming the following, that the intelligence services, foreign and domestic, we're going to bring them all up today, had specific information that could have prevented 9/11. And I'm talking about menial information. I'm not talking about specifics like date, times, and who and where. But they had warnings that goes back 6 years prior to 9/11. And we're going to talk about that too. And to me, the starting point is the Bajinka plot, right? What is the Bajinka plot? Bajinka plot was a transnational plot headed by Ramzi Yousef, the mastermind of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, and his uncle, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who's currently wasting away in Guantanamo Bay, and he's the alleged mastermind of 9/11. Now, do I think he masterminded 9/11? Yes, I do. But does that mean, that's the official story? No, there is no official story. There is no story. The government produced an incomplete narrative. And we're going to fill in some blanks here today. So what I want to do is share a document with you regarding the Bajinka plot itself. Now, in this document, this is the Bajinka file. Now, this is from the Philippines National Police. They interviewed somebody named Abdul Hakim Murad, who was a co-conspirator to the Bajinka plot, where they were going to put timing mechanisms, Timex watches, microbombs, as Ramzi Yousef stated, on board 12 planes coming out of the United States and Southeast Asia, and had them all explode 1 minute of each other over the Pacific. Why over the Pacific? So that the debris that came down would be sunk underneath the bomb. You wouldn't know what happened. If this would have happened, and by the way, also hidden in this operation was the idea for 9/11, which was 10 planes that were going to be manually hijacked by operatives living inside the United States. This is 1995. The threat to the airline industry. 95. Did the diplomatic security services, did the Federal Aviation Administration, did the Immigration of Naturalization Services upgrade security? Did the Saudi consulate in Jeddah, in Riyadh, or Pakistan, in Islamabad, Jalalabad, did they have stricter security measures about individuals, males between the ages of 18 to 35? Because Pakistan and Saudi Arabia are home to, radical fundamentalists, as well as Afghanistan. Did they have stricter security measures? No. No. Now, according to the FAA, they thought an attack was going to happen overseas, not inside the United States. Now, according to the intelligence here, that's not the case, right? So here you have all these airliners. Look at all these airliners that are involved. And you see these names right here, Zayed, Markova, Majob. Those are code names for the people like Abdul Hakim Murad, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, and others like Walid Khan Ahmed Shah and Ramzi Yousef that were going to use to board these planes, right? Look at all these flights that were going to be on here, going all over from Hong Kong, Singapore, Taipei, in the United States. So the threat to the airline industry started way back in 1996, 1995, right? And so that's 6 years prior to 9/11. You could have had, cockpit doors more solidified. You could have had stricter identification methods using the, I forgot the tip-off system to put more names on there about people who are, considered dangerous. I think at the time there was like 6 names on there. Now it's tens of thousands, I think. But that's it's too late now, right? 9/11 happened. But what I'm showing you is, look, there's a threat to the airline industry as far back as 1995. So it's not like out of nowhere the airline industry was under attack. So that means the intelligence services, foreign and domestic, knew about the threat from radical fundamentalists and the airline industry. Now, you've had warnings, right? Warnings regarding um, from the foreign intelligence services. Warnings, by the way, and these were very vague. Now, let's talk about Israel. Now, in the 1993 World Trade Center bomb, you had an Israeli Mossad operative by the name of Josie Hadass, who the FBI knew and the New York Police Department knew about, certain people within the police department, and was living or rented an apartment to one of the co-conspirators named Mohammed Salman. Now, when the police went to after the bombing, they went to his apartment. They found all these incriminating evidence, including bomb-making materials, bomb-making manuals. Josie Hadass, long gone. In fact, according to certain documents and files that were released later, Mohammed Salame rented the Ryder truck and was going to pick up Josie Hadass, but she was long gone. And this is in New Jersey, right? Now, how did the Israeli Mossad know about Mohammed Salame? Couldn't tell you, right? There's so few information regarding 93. It's so often overlooked, which has a connection to 9/11. And I'll show you how, right? Regarding intelligence. So here you have Israeli intelligence monitoring a suspect who's involved in the 92, who happened to be involved with the part of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. Now, I'm not going to definitively state that Josie Hadass knew about the bombings in date times where I don't know that because only she would know that. I wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that. But you could surmise about, wow, this really could have benefited, Israel because we could have been attacking Iraq because that's exactly who we tried to blame for the 93 World Trade Center bomb. In fact, Ramzi Youssef, who tried to come into JFK Airport using a crudely fake Iraqi passport. Okay, all right. Now, in the months prior to 9/11, we had, and I've done an entire playlist. If you haven't seen it, please. It's one of my more important ones, the Gerald Shea Memorandum, where I'm reading the document by San Obispo retired corporate lawyer Gerald Shea, who took it on his own dime to get the FBI and the arrest records of all the Israelis that were detained in this huge operation, foreign intelligence operation, which was the biggest in the United States history at the time, involving over, I think, was 150 to 200 people involved with this moving front company and Israeli art students working in conjunction with one another. And they basically were operating all throughout the Southwest and Northeast. They were in Texas, they were in Miami, they were in New Jersey, they were in New York, Oklahoma, California, we're all over the place, right? And it basically shows that there's separate units that were fundamentally working with one another, but were operating separately from one another. So they couldn't. So if one unit was compromised, they wouldn't know about the other units in other states. They only knew about that one unit in that one city, right? And God knows if there were backups. I don't know, but everybody in the unit had no idea about what they were really trying to do. In fact, there were some of them were really art students, and they were young. Some of the people, as I read in that playlist, had very nefarious backgrounds, including the military, bomb explosive making experience. Yeah, all one was I think a general in the Lebanon army against the Lebanese in 1983 or 84. I'm like, damn, who the fuck are these people? Why are they posing as art students? Come on. Well, anyway, these are people that have experienced specific skill sets that were needed. And what I'm trying to tell you is this basically really was convenient involving the 9/11 attacks, involving what? If you're going to say that the World Trade Centers came down by pre-planted explosives, I mean, when they searched the truck of Urban Moving Systems, bomb-sniffing dogs reacted positively. I'm not saying that the World Trade Center came down by pre-planted explosives because I'm not the authority on that. I could give you my opinion, but you don't want to hear an opinion. You want to hear qualified people speak, right? That's why I don't talk about it. I'm not qualified. I know my limitations. Anyway, going back to pre-intelligence. So Israel had an operational system inside the United States. So, of course, the intelligence services most likely knew about it because the operation was huge. So they gave vague warnings. Now, what I'm going to read to you is from the Gerald Shea Memorandum, and it talks about inadequate warnings, right? I'm going to make myself disappear, so this way you could see it. So inadequate Israeli warning in August of 2001. That's a month prior to 9/11 attacks. As noted, immediately after September 11th, reports emerged of Israeli warnings in August that major terrorist attacks were imminent. On September 16, 2001, the Daily Telegraph reported that Israeli intelligence officials said that they warned their counterparts in the United States last month that large-scale terrorist attacks on highly visible targets on the American mainland were imminent. Now, let me tell you something. Israel even gave the most vague, most ridiculous information. Like, we didn't know that there was a threat by bin Laden at this point because bin Laden basically was public. And I gotta laugh at people, right? Let me just stop right here. I gotta laugh at people that say, "Oh, Bill Cooper predicted 9/11." Oh, wait a minute, Alex Jones predicted 9/11. No, they didn't. I can't believe you fucking people actually believe that they predicted 9/11. Did they predict that the planes were going to be hijacked? No, they predicted a terrorist action was going to be blamed on bin Laden. What we fucking do? Bin Laden was public at this point, basically telling you. And this is the real conspiracy, is that bin Laden basically is telling you, I'm going to attack you. And the conspiracy is that the intelligence service knew about it and did nothing to stop it. But no, you idiots. You went out of your way. It's, oh, Bill Cooper, he knows. He's got direct intelligence. Oh, Alex Jones, fucking brilliant. That's the frogs again. That guy. God. I'm going to give you a small snippet here. All right. This is bin Laden. This is actually, I think, in June of 1998. Right. Now, this is regarding the East Africa embassy bombings in Kenya and Tanzania. Pay close attention because even bin Laden is mocking you right here, right? So this is an interview he did with John Miller of ABC News, right? So here's bin Laden. I gotta laugh because this is 1998. This is before the bombings of the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania and Dar es Salaam, right? And he's basically making fun of you because look where he's sitting. He's sitting in front of a map. A map of where? Is it Europe? Is it North America? No, it's a map of Africa. Right behind his head are the countries he's going to bomb. And he said later on that this was a hint of who he was going to attack. He wasn't going to tell you he was going to attack directly, so this way the bombings couldn't happen. But he's giving you a hint of Kenya and Tanzania right next to Chad, right? So
الحكومة الأمريكية نسميها تزاوجا حكومة أمريكية، لكننا نعتقد إنها حكومة تمثل إسرائيل في داخل أمريكا. إلى الوزارات الحساسة في داخل الحكومة الحالية كوزارة الدفاع أو كوزارة الخارجية أو الأجهزة الأمنية الحساسة CIA وغيرها، نجد أن اليهود لهم الكلمة الأولى في الحكومة الأمريكية.
But it's not like, bin Laden was secret about his attacks. The United States, he wanted you to know this is coming from me. And the laughable conspiracy is that, the whole world knew what was coming, right? Because he aired this. This is 1998. You knew bin Laden because in 1999, 1998, a fatwa came where he basically told the world, not, the United States, he told the entire world, I'm attacking the United States. And I want people to kill Americans and Jews wherever you find them. The intelligence, now add to that, in 1996, you have intelligence that was known that the airline industry is under direct threat. Here you have bin Laden with an army of al-Qaeda fighters basically telling you we're at war with the United States. It's not like Bill Cooper and Alex Jones just suddenly said, wow, I got this information from a guy in a fucking coat underneath the garage and I paid $200 for it. That's how I got the information. They're retards. They're bona fide imbeciles. Both of them. And for those who are saying, no, Bill Cooper is it? Bill Cooper actually went out and got shot by a sheriff because he didn't want to give up his guns, which were, I think, were unlicensed or he owed back tax or whatever. And they had a war prisoner. And he shot at the fucking sheriff, and they fucking killed him. He's a moron. Right? Well, at least he went out on his shoes. Alex Jones is still alive. And Alex Jones has a tremendous platform, even now, the civil litigation lawsuit. Even now, do you think somebody who's a threat to the establishment is going to have a fucking platform as big as his? All right, let's go back to the inadequate Israeli warning, right? Because here you have Israel, basically. By the way, in August of 2001 as well, allegedly they gave the list of the 19 hijackers of 9/11. Wait a minute, what? Now, how the fuck would they know that? That's coming from Israel itself, the Israeli government. Oh, we gave the names of the hijackers. What? How can nobody talk about this? And what does it say? There had been no specific information about the being planned, but linked the plot to Osama bin Laden and told the Americans that they were strong grounds for suspecting Iraqi involvement. Oh, just like with 1993 World Trade Center bombing. And guess who tried to blame him for Iraq? Judith Miller, Paul Wolfowitz, Richard Pearl, and those other fucking ghouls, right? CIA and FBI officials were advised in August that as many as 200 terrorists were slipping into the United States and planning a major assault in the United States. Again, this is before the 9/11 attacks. The advisory was passed on by the Mossad. It cautioned that it had picked up indications of a large-scale target in the United States and that Americans would be very vulnerable. Now, I'm going to speculate here and say that if anybody had direct intelligence about the threats to the Pentagon, the World Trade Center, the specific airlines like Flight 11, 77, 93, it would belong to Israel and Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia was involved with the operations of Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi in San Diego and Los Angeles, and Israel had been involved with the pilot hijackers, Mohammed Atta, Ziad Jarrah, Hani Hanjour, and Marwan al-Shehi, or as they're called, the Hamburg Cell. Now, how far back does it go? I don't know. Let's just stick with here. But Israel had to cover their tracks, right? Say, hey, we told you guys about a large-scale plot. But that doesn't tell you shit. You don't know what the fucking to do in August of 2001. You don't know what, are we going to clamp down on everything? No, it's not possible, because tourism would be hurt and it would destroy us financially. So be vigilant. Now, I'm going on a stretch here to say that Israel and Saudi Arabia probably had direct intelligence. Probably. I don't know for sure. But let's surmise. If the 9/11 attacks are successful, did it benefit Israel? Did it benefit Saudi Arabia? I ask you, the people. Fuck what I think. Right? Who cares what I think? And this is, and it's not like, even after 9/11, you had intelligence from Operation Encore that was found in the areas that some of these hijackers left, like Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi went to Virginia. So the FBI went there after the attacks. And this is from Operation Encore. Now, I'm going to make myself disappear so you can read it. It says, subsequently, a federal search warrant was issued out of the Eastern District of Virginia, served on December 7, 2001, in Falls Church, Virginia. As a result of the execution of the federal search warrant, the following items of interest were seized. The remaining videotapes of the Boston Public Library, to include, and it's where Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi went to, Crisis in Korea, B-29 Frozen in Time, and the autobiography of George Bush. The Federal Aviation Student Flight Manuals, a notepad containing locations of at least 10 oil refineries, copies of various passports, none of which belong to blank, 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 photographs of various Middle Eastern males posing both inside and outside the World Trade Center towers, a postcard with an aerial view of the Pentagon, a book identifying commercial airliners, hand-drawn diagrams of a plane striking the World Trade Centers, several flight school catalogs, a date book which contained only one entry, which was on September 11, 2001, that read, traits the World Trade Center Pentagon tracks for the plane. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm trying to say to you is this. Had foreign intelligence tracking these men, as well as the Hamburgs, had looked at this information or found this information, they would know that there was a threat to certain airlines and certain targets. That could have prevented 9/11. That's not me saying. Now, one of the biggest whistleblowers of my time is Thomas Schmidt, the former senior executive of the NSA. And he once said this in regards to the attacks of 9/11, in regards to just the NSA.
Part of my whistleblowing involved being called as a material witness in the short months after 9/11 for 2 9/11 congressional investigations in which I gave highly classified information, operational intelligence, information that NSA had never shared, or information it did not know it had that was never shared, that if it had been shared and properly acted upon, probably would have stopped 9/11 alone, separate from any other intelligence agency or department.
I don't need to tell you anything different. Now, I'm not saying that the NSA knew about the information that they had because they were hoarding so much information, they probably couldn't. But I find that hard to believe because they were concentrating on a building in Yemen called the Ahmed al-Qada apartment, which was the most surveilled home in the world at the time because the CIA and NSA had a bug inside the house and they were monitoring the phone calls of this house since 1996, according to some sources. So let's just say, from that point on, that's 5 years worth of phone calls. That's a lot. And they knew about people coming in and out the house. I mean, like I said, the conspiracy is that they had enough information to where 9/11 could have been prevented had it been shared with everybody across the board. The diplomatic security services, the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, what have you, local law enforcement in Los Angeles, New York, Florida, right there, the hotspots. And by the way, what was in those hotspots? The intelligence services. Just so happens to be Saudi Arabia and Israel. Is the 9/11 Truth Movement talk about this? No. To them, this is way too much. This is well out of the spectrum. And it's not come from me. It's come from them because I talk to them. Well, this is too complex. I can't remember Arabic names. That's an excuse some of them told me. I'm not going to mention it. I'm dealing with, not the brightest of bulbs. And I'm telling you in a video like this that there is a huge conspiracy, and I just showed you just saw regarding 9/11. I'm not telling you to blame Israel. I'm not telling you to blame Saudi Arabia. But the intelligence services were inside the United States monitoring these people. The only thing missing is specifics at this point. We have everything else. Are we talking about it? Hard. So this is what I tell you, people who follow my channel. Make your own video. Write your own word. I mean, you are an important voice in all this. You don't have to talk about 9/11, talk about the current times. But we need impartiality. It's the only way we're going to get to justice. And even if we don't get it, at least we could say we tried. And don't fall for the glitz and glam with people like Richard Gage and Jason Burmas, Barbara Honegger, Judy Wood, and all the Christopher Bowling, all these other idiots. They're all gone, except for Gage, who's barely hanging on. They don't learn anything new because they don't read anything. They don't like anything. They don't learn anything. They're the ones performing the official narrative. The official narrative of their specific stories. They're the ones who are selling you something because they're the ones who are asking you for money. I mean, Richard Gage actually takes your money and he goes on trips. Hawaii, Guam, I don't know. That guy's always doing something in terms of travel. He doesn't work. He even admits himself that he with a six-figure job. Who the fuck does this? A lazy motherfucker. who's grifting off the backs of the system. Piece of shit, Mike. Anyway, that's it for this week. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Have a good